Before we begin, in 2019, YouTube was caught data mining children under the age of 13, violating the Child's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA. Since settling, YouTube has enacted new policies meant to dodge responsibility and scapegoat creators. This video is not made for kids. It is not targeted at kids. It is not advertising to kids. Parental discretion is advised. Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is the Sentinel watching over Geekdom, and welcome back to Sentinel Reviews. Today we are beginning our look at Sarah Jane Smith's Series 2 with Buried Secrets, written by David Bishop, directed by John Ainsworth, released in November of 2005. Buried Secrets stars Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith, and features Tom Chadmon and Ivor Danvers. As always, I will be discussing spoilers, so in the description box below will be links to Big Finish's website, where you can buy Buried Secrets for $2.99 USD, or you can buy Sarah Jane Smith, the complete series, for $24.99 USD. And this is actually my second take doing this review, because the biggest problem in reviewing this is that this story throws so much information at you all at once, and in setting up for what the arc of Series 2 is going to be. And my first take on this was just all over the place, trying to get all that information out as I went through my review. So I'm going to try and do it again. Hopefully this one will come out better. So Series 2 takes place 2 years after the end of Series 1. Sarah has decided to step out of the spotlight, and she is using her inheritance from her Aunt Lavinia. Remember, Series 1, Comeback, started with Sarah at her aunt's funeral and receiving her inheritance, and she's using her inheritance to fund other ventures. As she tells Josh, when he said there weren't enough warriors out there fighting to save the world and make it a better place, Sarah explains to Josh, "I did my part, now it's my time to help other people." Natalie, who I just learned this because because the complete series, which is what I have, doesn't list the cast. So when I was looking at this story individually to get the information, I learned Natalie is voiced by Liz Sladen's daughter, Sadie Miller, which I thought was cool. Anyway, Natalie is in Florence, Italy. She is taking part in an archaeological expedition and working on a forensic pathology degree. And Josh is just having trouble acclimating. When he first meets Sarah again at the start of the story, he says he has quit his most recent Josh, and Sarah points out that's been 7 in 2 years. After everything he's done, he can't go back to the mundane. He can't go back to normal, and Jeremy James, as Josh, is actually the highlight of this particular story. Anyway, Sarah... Also, just, again, from Series 1 to Series 2, Hilda Winters has died. She died in custody. So, Sarah decides that chapter of her life is closed and she's ready to move on. And then there's a really touching scene at an Italian restaurant. It's explained that after Terror of the Zygons and The Hand of Fear, Sarah and Harry Sullivan would meet up at this restaurant every year and catch up and talk about old times. And then Harry, who is a naval doctor, was called away on some top-secret mission. And he seemingly disappeared. No one knows what's happened to him. And every year, on the anniversary of when they would meet up, Sarah goes to this restaurant and sort of holds a vigil for him. And like I said, the monologue Liz Sladen has here, it's a really touching, real well-done scene. There's other things going on in this story, and I don't know how to address them, because they are details that right now would be superfluous, but they pay off later in the series. For example, at one point Sarah mentions she funds an expedition to Antarctica, a research expedition. And yeah, it's just, again, they have no bearing on the plot here, but like I said, as we talk about the later stories, they'll start referencing these events more and more until the later stories start playing out on them. So one thing I will say is, this story sets out what Comeback tried to do. Tell an individual story while establishing the overall plot. And what where Comeback failed is it's two stories that very much do not belong together, and they are forced together, which sort of leads to one plotline being rushed and kind of underdeveloped. Here, in Buried Secrets, that's not an issue, because both plot lines lead one right into the other, and they're fairly well paced. Well, no, they are well paced, and they play out really well. You know, nothing feels underdeveloped, nothing feels rushed. So now here comes the lore dump, because to explain what's going on in this series and try to review it, I kind of need to explain this. And just like I said, there's a lot going on. Oh, I forgot something else. Stick a pin in that. I'll get right back to it in just a minute. While she's at this restaurant, Sarah meets Will Sullivan, played by Tom Chadbon. Will is Harry's younger brother. And I really like the connection they have. The way Tom Chadbon plays it, you could definitely go, oh yeah, that's Harry's brother. It's totally believable. And I really like the scene between them. And I also like Josh, because, you know, sort of being antsy, again, having trouble acclimating to normal life, he thinks something's up with Sarah, so he follows after her and spies on her, and he's immediately suspicious and distrustful of Will, despite there being nothing to distrust about him. And again, it's just Jeremy James is great. That's all I can say about it, you know. And because of the trouble Josh has acclimating, he's obviously very antsy. And then, okay, I'm going to do the lore dump right now and explain what's going on and explain what the arc of this series is, and then I'm going to explain the second half of this story. So, Sarah receives a letter from Hilda Winters saying that she has died, as I mentioned, and that Sarah is actually more important than she realized. She mentions something like the Exemplar Crass is opening, and to beware the Orbis Pastramo. Now, so here, once again, we have a conspiracy thriller, but this time it's mixed in with a little bit of prophecy story. So, oh boy, this is going to be difficult. The Exemplar Crass is one of these ancient texts. It was written by an Italian. More on that later. I actually listened ahead and finished this series before I did these reviews. And he made these predictions about the end of the world. And, you know, but the difference is, unlike, say, Nostradamus, who was incredibly vague and could be interpreted any which way but loose, these predictions were fairly accurate. And they were extremely specific. So he wrote these predictions in a book called The Exemplar Crass, the Book of Tomorrows. And they were written on two kinds of pages. There were black pages written in white ink, and then there were white pages written in red ink. And over the centuries, the Orbis Pastramo came to worship the Exemplar Crass. The Orbis Pastramo, the Orphans of Tomorrow. But there's two, and part of the Exemplar Crass is that whole, you know, oh, the aliens are our gods and our creators type of thing. And there are two different sects of the Orbis Pastramo. There is the Crimson Order, you know, white pages written in crimson ink, and they believe, as far as the whole aliens are god thing, the aliens are coming back as destroyers. And then there's the White Order of the Orbis Pastramo. The black pages written in white ink, excuse me. And they believe the aliens are coming back and to bring enlightenment. And both sides of this order believe that the end times will be brought about by the arrival of a herald with knowledge of the future. So stick a pin in that, because that will come into play in this story later. As I mentioned earlier, Natalie is in Italy on an archaeological expedition. The previous professor who was in charge of this dig has disappeared and was recently found dead. Natalie is one of the people, because this entire group was arrested on suspicion of murder, so Sarah and Josh go out to Italy to help her. And while they are exploring, Sarah finds a hidden tomb with missing pages from the exemplar crass and the reveal of the Herald. The Herald, the person who will bring about the end times, is a woman named Sarah, matching her description. And I think I'm going to stop there because I don't want to give away the game too much. Buried Secrets is a lot of fun. It's not the most engaging story. I'd put it a little bit above average, but it's a lot of fun. And the mysteries it sets up is done artfully, so I would say. It's very thrilling. I was constantly on the edge of my seat, and I am excited to see where it goes. I'm going to give Buried Secrets an 8 out of 10. And join me next week when Sarah will go and check on the results of the expedition she's funding in Snowblind. Those were just my thoughts. Have you heard Buried Secrets? What are yours? Start a conversation in the comments below. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Click the bell next to subscribe to get notifications when I upload. Share the video around. All of it helps my channel grow. In the description box below, you'll find the link to my Ko-fi where you can help support the channel, and you'll find the link to my Twitter where you can follow me and get updates on the channel. This is the Sentinel watching over Geekdom, and I'll see you guys next time.